Yeah, how was it?
Dude, it was sick. It was my first time at an Aggies game. I've been to a couple college football games. Like growing up, I went to a UCLA game, USC game in Southern California. But Texas football is something else, man.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, Gillum, I don't think you've ever met my buddy
Everything's bigger in
Phelps.
Texas, right?
Yeah, dude.
Hey, man, what's going on?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing well. So how did you all meet, or tell us the backstory on that?
Did we meet in airborne school, or was it when we got to Italy?
I think it was right after airborne school. We got put in a room together and sent to Italy at the same time. Once we got there, you were the only person I knew, really, you and two other guys. And we ended up deploying together, got separated in country. And then after Italy, I just didn't see you again. But yeah, we joined at the same time, airborne school same time, and then deployed at the same time. But he stayed in. You're still in, correct?
Yeah.
And I got out. So, dude, I'm really curious, for someone that's been in the exact same amount of time as I was, how you feel about the military now compared to 2009.
Well, I'm in a different culture right now. Like I reclassed last year, medical reclass. So, it's different. So the last time I was on the line was 2019. I was with 4th ID, 1/8 Infantry. I was a Bradley section leader at the time. And then from there, I took a broadening assignment because I had finished my KD time as a staff sergeant, and it was time to do my broadening. So most guys, they do like recruiting or drill, or they go instructor or something like that. I decided to go the OC route with ACRC. So what I did was I was an observer coach trainer, but for guard and reserve units. I was stationed at Camp Atterbury with 1st Army, which was pretty cool. Like super low key assignment. It's funny how I got that assignment, dude. Was I knew my branch manager personally. He was remember Sergeant Thompson from Able Company?
Yeah. Yeah, sure do.
Jones? Yeah, so he was the infantry branch manager at the time when I was transferring over. Him and I were just shooting the shit playing Destiny on Xbox. And I was like, yo, dude, can you send me to Camp Atterbury? And he's like, yeah, I was on orders like a week later.
Dude, that's what's up.
Every game chat room should just be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty sick.
I just hopped off Baldur's Gate.
The Army today is different, dude. It's way different than when we came in.
How is it different? I guess that's a broad statement, but
yeah. So, like, obviously, we all know consensus. Like, there's a recruiting issue, right? We're super low in numbers. We're not at war, right? We're not at war.
Essentially.
Like, dudes aren't deploying. I mean, dudes are still deploying, but they're doing rotational deployments. We're not in active ground combat unless you're, like, in that special operations community. You're probably going to see stuff, but you don't hear about it. You know what I mean? From my foxhole now that I've gotten into the staff level, I've been staff level the last 2 units I've been in. Now I'm staff level in the medical community. It's a completely different perspective than, you know, when you're just a line dog pulling triggers, training every day, you know, to get better at killing. So, you know, the type of soldier that I receive as a leader is just different, right? Different generations. They learn differently. They want to know the why more than anything, which doesn't really fare well when it comes to, you know, like what happened with Afghanistan, you know, the whole shit show when it came to the pullout a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They just, you know, they realize like you got to really sell it to them, like the why. So it's important to paint that bigger picture as a leader when you're kind of leading troops and you're given tasks and it's really important. But same level of commitment you're going to get. You just have to invest invest your time differently in people than they did back in the day, where we just responded to shut up and color, right? Like, just fucking rubs the lotion on the skin type mentality. Like, you listen to your leaders that have experience over you, or you're not going to make it back from combat. So it's kind of different in those retrospects. And I think one of the reasons why we have such, have you heard about the whole recruiting thing recently? How they're trying to like bump up like 800 recruiters?
No, but I did see recently they bumped up the age to 42 is when you can join instead of 32. Mm-hmm. So I know they're struggling. I also saw they added, you can have tattoos on your hands and your neck now. I mean, they're struggling.
So like they actually changed that back a couple years ago when Command Sergeant Major Daly was in the seat as the Army Sergeant, the Army Sergeant Major.
Right.
He rolled back a lot of stuff. Like, we're allowed to listen to music while we're doing PT and stuff like that. Like,
no way.
We can have headphones in while we're in the gym during PT hours. Things like that.
Approved playlist only for PT, though.
Right? No, but which is nice. Honestly, it is really nice having some of those quality of life things. But right now, dude, literally like a couple weeks ago, they published a MILPER message. Like, they're trying to get 800 more recruiters in the force in the Army. And what they're doing is they're taking anybody that their branch was willing to let them sign up. If you're a sergeant, the moment you graduate recruiter school is you get promoted to staff sergeant. If you're a staff sergeant, you graduate recruiter school and you get 24 recruits to actually ship to basic training. They'll automatically promote you to sergeant first class. And then there's all kinds of like bonus incentives and stuff right now. Like, so,
well, that's nice.
It's great. But at the same time, developmentally, you're not going to have those leaders come back to the force after their recruiting assignment. They're not going to be quality leaders. They're not.
No, it's definitely going to be watered down.
Well, they're not going to be properly trained. When you go recruiting, you're not in charge of soldiers.
No, it's definitely going to be quantity over quality.
Yeah.
It's going to be... Sorry. I was going to say, it's going to be good for you on what you said earlier. The asking why is kind of what you're getting. That's going to help when you get out, though, because that's something that took me a while to get used to as a civilian was I'd tell someone to do something, and they'd be like, why?
Yeah.
I'd be like, dude, don't ask why, just do it. Like, people would be like, hey, you can't talk to people like that. I was like, well, I mean, if I tell you to do something, it's for a reason. They're like, yeah, but you got to kind of explain it and let them know, why they're doing it and how to do it. And it was a real culture shock for me. So that'll help you a lot in the long run, dealing with people that ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I had a question. You said it's been like 2019 was the last time you were in the line. So what's the difference between the line in 2019 than, say, 2009? Like, what were the major differences you could tell in an infantry unit?
Well, for me, it was just simply different platform. I came in wartime 2009. I was in an airborne unit, right? I was in 173rd Light Infantry. But I was in a mounted, like I was in a dog company, so Destin company. So I was still around vehicles, like that mounted mentality. But when it came to being on the line in 2019 with 4th ID, I think the op tempo is a little bit more, just given the fact that we were on Bradleys. So you have to not only train as a dismount, so you have to do light infantry things, but you also have to incorporate combined arms, like you're incorporating tanks and Bradleys, which are a different beast altogether when it comes to your tactics on the ground. That big picture land warfare mentality when it comes to armor is you're taking vast quantities of land very quickly. And at any given point in time, you're outfitted to have like up to 72 hours of equipment to sustain yourself and your platoon at any given point in time. So logistically, it's just massive, like operations, right? Whereas like, your light infantry airborne company, your light infantry platoons, like, the biggest weapon you're gonna have with your guys is like the 240.
Yeah.
And like you're just worried about beans and bullets at that point. Whereas when you're operating combined arms, you got to worry about fuel, you got to worry about maintenance, you got to worry about like all these other factors that kind of go into sustaining an armored force. It's crazy to kind of put things into perspective. Like just my battalion or just my brigade alone, their budget for the fiscal year of 2019, like I think just at the battalion level, is more than the entire 101st Airborne Division when it came to money. Just sustaining an armored fleet is insane. That's
I
how
can
expensive
imagine
it is. Yeah. So, and this was during, the Trump years too, when we had a crazy defense budget. So
I was going to say, able to drop JDAMs and all kinds of crazy crap.
Right. So when we came in 2009, Jones, we were part of the surge. When we deployed, we were part of Obama's surge of 30,000 troops into Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Right. So we also had a crazy budget behind us. And then you kind of had those years between after the surge when, Operation New Dawn kind of came into play, Spartan Shield, where we were more taking a step back and augmenting rather than, taking, battlefield occupancy. We're trying to put the baton and the torch in the hands of the ANA and the Afghans. It was just a completely different fight,
Oh yeah. How many times have you deployed since that deployment?
Twice. So I did a CENTCOM deployment. So like Kuwait, I was in Qatar.
Yep.
I guarded Camp Al Saleh. We had people out doing other things, in CENTCOM. And then I did Atlantic Resolve, which was the Russian deterrence, before, Ukraine kind of popped off. This is kind of like a knee-jerk reaction, like a quick Band-Aid solution to the annex of Crimea. We wanted to get our forces into the Baltic states, especially armored, a lot of rotations. You got 1st ID, 4th ID, all these armored units kind of doing rotations in the Baltic states. Because when American armor shows up, you don't fuck with us, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care, like the Russian Armada tank with all its like auto loading and like you will not beat American armor because of our experience. You know what I mean?
No. Air Force or ground unit.
Dude.
Or naval. I mean.
Yeah. So, 1st ID used to be in Germany.
Yeah.
With tanks and Brads. And then I think Reagan back in the day signed something in an executive order. They pushed something in Congress where we were going to downsize in Europe over time after the 80s. And it got to a point where we pulled all our armored resources out of Europe, and look what happens. So that we kind of were pushing them back in.
Start putting them back.
Yeah, like, hey, like, don't fuck with us, right? Like,
because I know right after our deployment, they started pushing a lot into Poland and all these other little countries along the borders.
Yeah, we that deployment, that rotation, we started off. We shipped everything. Like, I shot gunnery in Poland like 9 days after we touched ground, like in my Bradley, and I got put on a Bradley. That was the first time I got put on a Bradley the week before deployment. So I was sitting in the BATS trainer, dude, like, which was the simulator for weeks, just trying to get, trying to learn the platform, because I was just a dismount squad leader at the time. Like literally like a week before deployment, they're like, yeah, you're going to shoot gunnery 9 days after you get there, and you're going to be a Bradley section leader. I'm like, okay.
Dude, that's pretty typical. I remember the first time I shot a 240 was in a firefight.
Yeah.
Because when I was in basic training, the day they shot the 240s, I accidentally got caught peeing on a tree, and one of the drill sergeants told me to go. He was, hey, go protect my trees since you want to piss on them. Make sure nobody else does. And they forgot about me. That night they were getting on the bus, and they were like, "Where's Private Jones?" Come running to the wood line. And I was just standing there guarding his trees.
Guarding his tree.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't get to shoot one until I was in country.
Yeah, that's wild, dude.
It was nuts.
I had a little bit of similar experience to you, bro. Phillips. I started off before I switched to the line. I was in a Devil Company, which was the heavy weapons company, right? So I was mounted for 6 months. So I got to learn, a little bit of being, of course it was Humvees, not Bradleys, but, learning the heavy weapons and helping, learning all the, the Mark 19, the 240s and all that. I got to learn all the heavy weapons stuff. So at least that was kind of a good experience before I went over to the line.
Yeah, it's always good to kind of just get a little bit of familiarization before, but it's weird. Like, I look back at it and like when I was a private, I had no idea. Like, literally, I did not understand the big picture. Like chess pieces on a board. Did not understand that until I became a squad leader, like Bradley section leader. That's when I started understanding all of it.
Yeah, like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because then you start seeing things from a different perspective. I mean, mine was all light infantry, so I don't really know any of the mechanized side. But I know once I became a squad leader is when things started to really make sense and click instead of just doing what I'm told and shooting guns. I mean, it ort a lot more diverse. Yeah, I wish I would have got to go mechanized.
Yeah.
Where did you go after Italy?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
That's right. Okay, I remember that.
I was down there for 4 years. I got down there. I was there for 1 year before we deployed. I went back to Afghanistan. I was in Wardak and Nangarhar. And
you were with 10th Mountain, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then
he was my team leader and my squad leader.
Yep.
Okay. Where did you go in Wardak and Logar?
So Wardak, I was in for the second tour.
Syedabad, Salar.
Syedabad.
Okay.
Syedabad.
Okay.
Yep. And then Nangarhar, I was at Cop Spur.
Okay. So, did you stay at Airborne when we were? Oh no,
that was my first deployment. I was at Airborne for half of the deployment. We were supposed to rotate out with Cop Bedell, but ended up doing all of our rotations out to, it was called Razorback Ridge, where we did OP for IEDs being dug. And then the other half was Kunar.
Okay, yeah, because we started off in Kunar. That's when you and I got separated. I got picked up by Able Company because I was in First Platoon Able, which was a destined platoon. We were the mechanized or the dog platoon that was attached to Able, and then you stayed with the HHC as PSD, right, for Sergeant Major and Colonel Butler.
For like 2 months, I was his rifleman. I followed Command Sergeant Major.
Okay.
That was actually fly of the moment. So we got in country and he was watching me shoot. And it was funny. He ran out and put a quarter up. And he was like, shoot that. And I shot it. He put a dime and I hit it. And he was like, he was like, you're not going to the line for a couple months. I was like, okay. I mean, what am I going to say to Sergeant Major?
Dude, Sergeant Major Ferrucci was a manimal, bro. That dude
That's exactly who it was.
Crazy. That dude was crazy.
We got in a firefight, and Ferrucci started running up the ridgeline by himself. And I'm a private tagging along, trying to keep up. And he's like gunning in bushes and just shooting everything that moved. Like,
didn't he carry the M14?
Yeah, he's a savage.
Yeah,
he is a savage.
Rest in peace, man. He passed a few years back.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah. He was fighting cancer for a while.
Yeah. That's there's some wild stories, man. The Ferrucinator.
Yeah, he was a bulldog, man.
Dude, remember we got back from deployment, he brought everyone in the theater and he's like, he threatened to beat our ass if we messed up like on the town.
Yeah, dude.
He's like, I'll bring the wood to you if you mess up and you tarnish this battalion's name, like I'll bring the wood to you.
Dude, that's how I ranked up so fast. I was a PFC for 2 months
Okay.
because I got into country, and like I said, he selected me to like follow him around. And one day he just walked by and he was like, "Hey, nobody that follows me is going to be a private." And I like took it and threw it. And he was like, "If anyone questions it, just send them my way."
That's
I was
wild,
like,
dude.
"Okay."
That's crazy. Dude, remember us, like, it took us like a month just to even get into country?
Yeah, it was nuts.
Like,
But that's because we got to the unit a little bit late.
well, no. So what happened was there was a sergeant first class that was in charge of us. He was a cook.
Yep.
And we went from Italy to Grafenwehr. We did that like week-long little train up, like the IRT or whatever.
Yeah. The
And
mock
then,
vehicles and all that stuff.
and then we were supposed to go from Germany to Manus, but instead we went straight to Bagram. And
We got stuck there.
And this guy, we weren't even there for like 24 hours. We got back on the plane with some Marines, and this sergeant first class was like, "We're supposed to go through Manus." So we got back on the bird like an hour later. They flew us down to Kandahar, dropped off some Marines, and then we went to Kuwait. And we were in Kuwait for like 10 days.
Yeah.
And then from Kuwait, we didn't even go to Manus. We went straight back to Bagram. Like we were back in Bagram square one, you know?
The logistics officer must have been off that week or something.
I don't know. I don't know if that cook dude wasn't ready to be in country yet or something like that, or like what. But like we were just, he had like 8 privates. Like he was babysitting. Jones and I are one of them. We were just living in Tent City in Kuwait, doing those little volleyball
for like
tournaments.
2 weeks.
We were just like sitting there, like going to McDonald's and going to the MDR, playing video games. I got hypnotized.
Yeah,
Like,
I remember.
There was a hypnotist that came to Kuwait, dude.
Dude, this guy was a savage back in the day, by the way. We haven't even touched on that. It's any of your privates, you better not be telling them not to do shit, because Phillips was a heathen.
Yeah.
Sneaking off base while we were in Germany to get drunk, just partying it up every freaking night. When I say we used to drink every night, it was like Monday to Sunday, man. We were in the club, the bars. It was nuts.
We'd bring PTs in a backpack with us and
to the club.
change into PTs like in the taxi cab on the way back to post.
Yeah.
To go do PT that next morning. It was wild, dude.
It was pure savagery.
Yeah. I can't live like that anymore, man. Like I need my sleep. Like
Dude, that airborne unit was so nuts. I remember, I don't think I was with you yet. I was with a different platoon. But when you go to an airborne unit, Gillum, you have to go to airborne school first. So you do like 5 jumps, and then you go to your unit and you start jumping with them. And we went to this jump in Germany. We were in Grafenwehr, and this private next to me was saying all this crazy crap like, "Oh, hey, how do I do this or this or this?" I'm like, "Dude, you know how to do this. Like, just calm down, take some deep breaths. We'll be up there. Just do what they taught you." And he's like, "Okay." So we get up there, we jump, all of us jump, land. We all go to the vehicle. You put your rucks in. I'm talking to this guy, and he was like, "Dude, for a first jump, that was awesome." And I was like, "What do you mean first jump?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't go to airborne school. They just sent me right here." And I was like, "Bro, what do you mean?"
He wasn't airborne qualified?
Not airborne qualified.
Whoever was in charge just missed the memo?
Dude, no orders, nothing. Had never seen a static line, nothing. Made it onto the bird and jumped with us for his first jump ever.
Oh,
I was like, "Dude, we got to get someone over here ASAP and go grab an NCO." They're like going through his orders, freaking out, trying to figure out how this happened. Ended up sending him back to airborne school.
That is what, dude. Someone got fired. Or someone got
for
out.
Sure,
dude.
But But that's what I'm saying. Like us getting stuck for those 10 days, crap like that was happening all the time.
Yeah. That's
It was
wild, dude.
It was nuts. He was all excited and crap. I was like, what are you talking about? You've done this before.
He's like, cool, I got sent to Ranger Battalion.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not Ranger.
Did you ever get your Ranger tab, Phillips?
Nah, man. So funny story. The way I got to get stationed in Italy is I had that option 40 back in the day where you were going to go to RIP right after basic and airborne.
You did the same thing as me. They changed it to RASP.
Well, they offered, when I was in airborne hold, they were like, yo, you can drop RIP if you want to and choose your airborne duty station. I was like, fucking say less, dude. Send me to Italy. Like, I wanted to travel.
Yep.
It's like growing up, like my stepdad, he had all these crazy stories from when he was stationed in Germany in the 80s. Like, you know, he used to sneak off base and go to German language class, and he ended up ETSing out of Germany and living there for 10 years after he ETS'd back in the day.
Yeah.
And like when I joined the Army, my desire to travel was more than my desire to be like high speed. Like I didn't give a shit about being a Ranger. I just wanted to travel and see the world. And that's exactly kind of how I did when I dictated my career. Because I pretty much decided my entire career all the way up until my current station right now. You know, through reenlistments and stuff like that, I made every decision. I wasn't just like on orders. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's so funny, man, because I did the exact same thing. They pulled me into a room and they were like, hey, RIP just changed to RASP, so we have to downsize. You can give up your RIP contract and pick your duty station.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had no idea what I should do. I actually prayed about it, and I was like, look, God, Italy is a hard station to get. Make it obvious. I'm going to request it. If they say yes, I'll do that. And that's what I did. I asked for Italy. They were like, yep, it's vacant. And I got there, and 2 weeks later, man, we deployed.
Dude, I didn't even know Italy was a duty station until like halfway through basic training. We got back from family day, and we're all taking a piss test. And I was downstairs. I was in 3rd platoon, which was like upstairs, and downstairs was 1st platoon. And the senior drill for 1st platoon was a 173rd guy. So they had the 173rd patch like painted on the kill zone. And I was looking at all the other patches, and I was like, that's the patch I want to wear. Like, I don't know who the fuck that is, but that's the coolest looking. That's the coolest looking patch. Like, it was just different from all the other ones, and it was like in the center of the kill zone. I was like, what unit is this? And the senior drills, that's 173rd. They're stationed in Italy. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's an airborne unit. I was like, I'm going to airborne school after this. Like, I hope I get there one day, but I knew I was going to RIP, so I was like, you know, that was kind of out the window. And then when that opportunity came up a couple like months later after I graduated basic, I was like, bet I ended up wearing the patch. Like,
dude, that patch was so sick.
Yeah,
I remember the cat they had everywhere on all the rugs, the parachuting black cat, and I
have that tattooed on me.
Yeah,
on my
dude,
leg.
They would put it in the most random places, and Sergeant Major would just wait for someone to accidentally step on it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you'd go into like the S shop and accidentally step on it, and he'd like pop out of a corner like, you dare desecrate the flying cat?
Sergeant Majors are like the biggest characters in the military. I swear, everyone's like this unique, different dude. Like, I remember our Sergeant Major, I can't remember his last name, it was like Mashad or something. He didn't see us for like 5 months on deployment, but his number one priority, not my well-being, not my safety, he wanted to make sure the shaving standard was met. That's when he came in.
Dude.
He came down, he's like, he had this weird accent too, and he'd be like, let me see all them privates. Yep, you guys are all shaved. You just shaved before I land? Is that what happened? Nice. I'm like, you didn't care about, you know, supply drop, how much ammo I got. You just care that I have a clean-shaven face. That's it. Jeez.
I
You know
swear,
what's-
once you graduate Command Sergeant Major School and you deal with all the bullshit, like, and you know, like, you're just hanging out with officers all day, like, I'm pretty sure they just turn into trolls. Like, it's all, they're not really
Oh,
serious,
for
but
sure.
they're just like, how am I going to troll this unit for the next 3 years while I'm in this seat? You know what I mean?
You know what's funny about that? My first deployment was with Command Sergeant Major Ferrucci. His last deployment, I deployed with him again.
Okay.
It was freaking awesome. So I got all my deployments were with Ferrucci.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, because he came to our unit. I knew that name,
Yep.
right? Yeah, he was in our unit.
Sure did. He was our entire. He was like the big Command Sergeant Major.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the
He was-
brigade one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I knew that name. Yeah, he was a high speed.
Dude's a savage.
Yeah, the dude was an animal. For sure.
So you're down in Texas now, huh?
Yeah, man. Fort Cavazos, formerly Fort Hood.
You ever go back to California?
Yeah, I was there for a wedding in March. My one of my best friend's brothers got married in the desert, so I went out there. It's funny, like, since I joined the Army, both my dad and my mom moved out of California. Well, my dad moved out of California when I was in high school, but my mom had gone too. So, like, my immediate family members aren't even in the state anymore. It's all, like, extended family, grandparents, sister.
Yeah.
So, like, my mom's in Florida. My dad's here in Texas, which is cool because I get to see him all the time. But yeah,
That's what's
you know,
up.
I can't stand California, bro. Like, it was such a cool place to grow up. It's just the people, the politics is just, it just doesn't fit me. It's super expensive, way overcrowded. And believe it or not, dude, so I've gone to California maybe a total of 10 times since I've been in, like, gone to visit. And 9 out of those 10 times, I've gotten sick as a dog, like hospitalized. I'm not fucking with you right now, dude. Like, I caught pneumonia, tonsillitis. Last time I got some crazy stomach bug where I was like shitting in my sleep.
It's just that bad juju out
Dude,
there.
it was terrible.
It's like a sign.
Bro, I'm not kidding you. And I literally, like, I remember the only time I didn't get sick was for my sister's wedding in 2021.
It's so crazy too, because that's something I always just picked up on and held on to was Huntington Beach. Anytime I hear from anyone from California, I'm like, oh, dude, my buddy's from Huntington. And my wife was like, who is this buddy? I haven't heard from him in years. And I was like, oh, you know, it's Phillips. And she's like, I've never met this guy. I don't know why. It just always stuck in the back of my mind.
Bro, we were pretty inseparable until, like, we got
For a while.
separated in country.
Dude used to drink and freestyle, just rap all the time.
Yeah.
I still listen to Atmosphere.
Dude, hell yeah. All the classics, man.
Dude, that's what's up.
Yo, California is like a really hot, toxic blonde. She's great to look at, but nothing long distance and long term is ever going to work out.
Nope.
No, they've got their problems. They've got to get sorted out.
Yeah, dude.
I saw they've come up a ways though. They've been passing some really good getting rid of some gun control laws.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're on the up and up. And I agree with a lot that they do as far as like they don't allow you to use pesticides on a lot of their plants. They don't allow a lot of different dyes in their foods. So they're doing some good stuff. They just kind of go overboard.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, they have
You
like
go to
good
LA.
health warnings. I think, like, I bought a cell phone the other last time. They're like, in California, you have to have this disclaimer that your cell phone does cause this and this and this. And I was like, oh, at least they know that, you know.
I believe it, man. You know.
So wait, rewind something real back. You said Fort Hood got renamed?
Yeah, so actually most of every single Army base, and I don't know if it's military wide, but I know in the Army, every single Army base that was named after someone in the Confederacy got changed. So Fort Hood, I think Hood was a general in the Civil
he's a
War.
Confederate general.
He was a Confederate general. So they actually changed the name to Cavazos, which is a Spanish American general. Also,
Bro, I had no idea.
You also
No
have
idea.
the Cav. You also have the Cav down here, so they call it Fort Cav. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Dude, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I
Fort
didn't know it
Bragg.
wasn't Fort Hood.
Yeah, it's Fort Cavas. Fort Bragg is now Fort Liberty. Fort Benning is now.
Polk is a Confederate general too.
Yep. Fort Benning is no longer Benning. It's like Fort Moore.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, that's insane.
I will say, before the whole Confederate general thing became political, I always thought it was kind of dumb. I'm like, why would you give the losing faction for your country all this credit? Like, why do we have Confederate generals named after all these bases? I said that for years. Like,
yeah, I don't know, man.
Imagine every Super Bowl losing quarterback gets like a statue built for them outside. Like, I'm like, what?
That makes sense.
You guys lost. And
makes sense.
This is just me. Like, I get if it's like a Southern culture thing. You got your rebel flag. That's cool, whatever. But why would you fly a losing flag? It was like 4 years. 4 years of existence. Like, you're a hardcore loser. Like, jeez.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Drew Brees never won a Super Bowl, and I still wear his jersey.
Wait, he did?
Drew Brees won?
He won one. He did
he won one.
Yeah.
Out of what, 22 years?
Something like that.
Hey, it's hard to win, one Super Bowl. Brett Favre only won one.
Yeah.
Dan Marino.
Did he really?
Brett Favre won one in 1995, I think it was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't he take a team to the Super Bowl, though? He took, like, the Vikings or the Jets?
He lost in the NFC Championship game. He did. As
we
a
watched,
Viking.
That was 2009. Jones, we watched that game in Kuwait.
Yeah, sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Sure did. That was on our way into country, I'm pretty sure. It was insane.
That was the only sad thing about some football seasons on deployment. So I'm a Broncos fan, and thank goodness we were on patrol when they lost to the Seahawks in the Super Bowl and got smacked. And I just came back, and I was like, can we find out the score somehow? And I looked at the score, and I was like, ugh. Luckily, I've erased it out of my memory, so like it doesn't exist. I don't have to feel that pain.
Dude, I got pretty lucky when I was stationed in Colorado. I got to see Peyton Manning play Tom Brady. Like, it was Broncos Patriots before they retired. It was awesome, dude.
Those were always some of the best matchups out there. Oh my goodness. I grew up in Colorado. I'm from Fort Collins. So, and my grandparents lived in Colorado Springs, so I'm real familiar with Colorado Springs, obviously. So
yeah, I was stationed at Fort Carson for 5 years. So far, it's been my favorite duty station, man. Like, I love the area. I did a lot of shit when I was stationed there. That's where I started hunting. I started doing all kinds of stuff there. Like, it was awesome. I would love to go back there before I retire. I've been in for 14 years. So I only got 6 years left. I'm in def, and I'm a 92 Yankee supply guy now. So, I'm kind of just coasting, man, until retirement.
That's so crazy that you've been in 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
What made you reclass?
I have a fucked up lower back, so they were either gonna med board me, but I kind of pled my case. I was like, I want to stay in, like, because I'm so close to retirement, right? And it was funny. So it was December 2021. I start Christmas block leave. I submitted my packet for my medical administrative review. They call it an MR2. And I came off of leave like January 4th, 2022. And I open up my email, and there's an ATARS reservation for 92 Yankee AIT. I'm like, well, okay. Like, I guess that's what I got, because I couldn't, like, it's weird when you medically reclass, it's needs of the Army. And it just so happened to be my indefinite reenlistment as well. Like, I couldn't reenlist for anything else. Like, it's either in-def or get out. So I was like, I guess this is my future. So there I am as a staff sergeant, like, combat infantry badge, airborne, air assault. Like, I've already done, I went to battle staff school, done all this stuff. And, for 8 weeks, I'm sitting there with a bunch of privates learning, logistics.
That's funny.
I always say, though, that's the best. I always love it when I hear an infantry guy, he gets to do something awesome. Like, I'll give you an example. There's this guy that was in a unit with me and Ian Jones, and he got out, and his wife joined the Air Force. he got to be a stay-at-home dependopotamus.
Yeah,
He
dude.
was loving his life. I remember
Hell
messaging.
yeah.
I was like, dude, how is it? And he's like, honestly, just chilling through Netflix right now, having a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I was like, lucky. Oh, everyone, we should just get out and go marry Air Force girls. Like, seriously. That's
Dude,
the dream.
here's the kicker, though, man. I missed an 18 grand bonus by 2 weeks.
That's
Oof.
rough.
I was sitting there, and there was like classes that were showing up after me, and other infantry cats. A lot of Ranger dudes, a lot of 11 Bravo Ranger Bat guys reclassed to 92 Yankee just willingly. They were getting 75 grand bonuses because they were tier 3 Rangers.
Bro.
They would go back to the Ranger Battalion as supply guys.
As a supply guy.
Yeah. So if you were tabbed, you were chilling, bro. But see, I got a pat on the back. Like, you get to stay in the Army. Cool. Indefinite, like, reenlistment. Guys that were doing that after me got like 18 grand bonuses, dude. I'm like, man, like, that would have been nice,
Yeah, that's a good chunk.
You must have got it right before the curve when they realized, you know what? We better retain anybody that we can because the recruiting is not going well.
Yeah. It's
So
been... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering if you were married.
Yeah, man, I got married this August.
Dog, congratulations.
Appreciate it, man. I'm loving it. God's been very gracious. He's blessed me recently this year, and it's been awesome, man.
You got any little babies running around the world?
Not yet.
No?
Not that I know of. I might have a native baby or two.
Yeah, it's very possible.
But no, we're going to be trying. We're talking about trying for a kid. She's going to get her IUD taken out in December. And, we're just going to let the Lord kind of take the wheel there,
Dude, that's exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I bet your family will be appreciative that you are no longer infantry too as well.
They are ecstatic. Let me say, especially now that I'm, supply and logistics. Not only do I have an additional skill outside of what I could do in like a management role with my infantry experience, but now I have a skill that'll even broaden my horizons when I get out,
Right.
So,
and
I'd say the biggest skill that is, I feel like, overlooked or underrated about infantry is you learn how to improvise on the fly. Improvising on the fly is like one of the biggest skills. So like, we do so good under pressure. Anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I found it like helped me out so much in my career. I'm like, oh, this is happening, and I'm like, well, I got to get this solved, and it's just something in my head. I gotta fix this somehow. I got to come up with a way. I think that's one of the biggest skills that helps. It's so underrated that we got.
Yeah, you just learn to kind of just like figure shit out, dude. Like, and I see guys, they kind of sell themselves short when they get out in their combat arms because they don't think their experience really transfers to much. But I honestly think they're just not translating their experience properly. They're not speaking the language of the civilian world. So, for example, and I tell guys all the time, I'm like, if you are combat arms and you are going to get out, don't get out until you become an NCO. Yeah. Because once you take those NCOER bullets that you are written, and you transfer those to a resume, that's what's going to get your foot in the door on many facets of industry that you don't even have a lick of experience, but you're able to adapt to that and go into training and be successful. Things like being responsible for millions of dollars worth of property. Companies look at that as like, okay, this guy is he knows accountability. Managing, right, like strict timelines under pressure, under chaotic conditions, you're gonna get the job done, and you're gonna figure it out before you throw your hands up and accept failure. The management of personnel, right? Like you look after the livelihood and the lives of your soldiers way deeper than any sort of manager or boss can ever dream of being on the civilian side, because like, okay, where else in this country or in the job force is a boss gonna call you and like show up at your house to make sure, you know, you're like you're good to go if you're not answering your phone, like, or, you know, like you're doing health and welfare checks on your soldiers, you're asking people on a deeper level like how they're doing mentally. Like I literally pull my soldiers in like once or twice a week, and I do a check. Like I take my top off, I take my rank off. You're talking to Jim right now, like how are you doing, bro? Like, are you good? Do you need anything? Right? Like aside from like military assistance, like how's your family doing? Like, right? Like things like that. So you don't get that. But if you can pitch that to an employer, I feel like not only is your experience going to give you a leg up, but that language translation is gonna open doors for you on the outside.
Oh, 100%. I said that on the past couple episodes. Production and management love NCOs. I mean, every interview I've ever done, I've gotten the job purely based off of, hey, I can lead people. I can check their equipment. I can check, you know, on them, make sure they're on time, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to, checking all their PPE, doing equipment checks. I mean, that all translates over to production, no matter what field it is.
Yeah.
And they love it. And the same with what Gillum said, the pressure. I'll be like, look, dude, nothing here is going to set me off.
Yeah.
There's nothing that could possibly go wrong where I'm going to panic. I can promise you. And
what are y'all doing now?
I manage a chocolate factory.
What?
Yeah. So I do that now. Before I managed the kill floor of a slaughterhouse for a while. And dude, that was pretty insane. And then I'll let Gillum say what he's doing nowadays.
I make chocolate bars in a chocolate factory. And I get yelled at by this asshole.
You guys work in the same spot?
No. No, I'm essentially my job title is I'm like the public information officer in the county government. PIO. It wasn't quite what I envisioned getting into. I was working in sports production, and I 2020 happened, and I went through a divorce, and I moved to northern Idaho, and this is kind of just the job that fell into that was translatable, I guess. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Nice, man.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not a bad gig.
Yeah.
Just sit there eating chocolate and protein bars all night. Because we do a lot of those too. We do the Quest bars and the One bars.
Oh, sick.
Dude, any of those protein bars you're seeing like that is what we make.
Okay.
So I'll walk down the line just
Yeah.
I love those Quest bars.
Are you down south still? Like where are you?
I'm in Pittsburgh.
Are you in Pittsburgh now? Okay.
Yeah, so this is where my wife's from. I've been here a year now. We were here a couple years before, but when COVID hit, they got real, I guess we'll say tyrannical.
Yeah.
And things got sketchy. I didn't want to do what I was being told to do, and I just bounced to South Dakota until everything blew over and came back.
Word.
Yeah. Colorado was getting bad for me. Like, I couldn't go and see anybody. I was going through a divorce. Like, you could even go out. They would have tents outside so you couldn't sit next to people, like just to increase the spacing. I was like, I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to move.
Yeah, it was weird times. We started homeschooling. We started, I went off the grid. I got sketched out, man.
That's actually sick though. Like I like that. Like I actually went through a breakup because I was not necessarily idolizing, but I was like fantasizing that lifestyle, the tiny home, homestead,
yeah.
Right? And this chick was like, dude, fuck you, bro. Like, I'm not doing that. She wanted like the white picket fence, the insane amount of debt, right? Like, no. Like,
that's essentially what me and Gillum both did. So he went up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and kind of went off the grid, and I went to South Dakota and started killing pigs where they didn't ask questions.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude. Yeah, I spent the COVID years in Indiana, which is nice because they didn't.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they shut down, but like they didn't at the same time. Like people were going to the grocery store. Like people were still like. Granted, you couldn't go sit in a restaurant, but you could order curbside. You know, like my neighbor, like I really just hung out at the house for like 8 months. Right? You know, everyone was on TikTok watching Tiger King and stuff like that. You know, like I was getting drunk in my driveway, grilling out with my neighbors. You know, like. So,
Speaking of grilling out and Veterans Day weekend, I was going to ask, since you're still in, is it a little different? So, me as a veteran who's been out for a long time, if someone says, Happy Veterans Day or thank you, I still don't quite know how to react. I'm always like, it's whatever. Like, you're good. I did it, whatever. You being in, do you have that same response, or do you still like, you're in uniform, so you're like, oh yeah, thank you. Do you know how to accept those, or?
I accept them because a lot of times it is genuine. It's genuine thanks. Like it's their reminder. Like we live in this age of information, right? Where it's just constant consuming, and people kind of throw some of those things by the wayside, like Memorial Day. Like they don't look at the sacrifices that soldiers have made over the years until Memorial Day is a reminder. So a lot of these things are reminders, and then people kind of settle into themselves like, oh, like, no, I should go thank a veteran. I appreciate the appreciation. Now, the commercialization of it, I can't stand. Right? Like hey boys, let's jump in the car and let's go to all these different restaurants and get free meals. Like, yeah, sure, a free meal is the least they can do for the things we did voluntarily for the country. But what I think it's kind of like a cringe culture in a way, in my opinion, seeing it from my perspective, and you get guys that aren't even technically veterans, right? Like they're still like, I'm a combat veteran because I've been to combat and I've come back, but I wouldn't consider myself like a full on veteran yet because I'm still active duty.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
And then you got those dudes that were like dishonorably discharged during basic training.
Bro, like, I'm a veteran, thank me for my service. Like, bro, you got chaptered. Like, what? Like,
yeah. Dude, I've got this.
Wait, I hurt my leg on week 2 of basic. Hey, can't help it.
It's like I got this sick enjoyment of watching the Stolen Valor videos.
Oh my gosh, dude!
And this is my favorite time of year to watch them.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So guys, I gotta tell you, it's somewhat of a stolen valor, but I'm gonna, of course, leave the name out. But this guy, when I went to basic training, and he was going in National Guard, he was like, and when they're, what do you call when you're in the first part where you're just in receiving and getting all your shots and your gear, whatever.
30th AG reception.
Yeah, 30th AG.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I know I'm the oldest one here, but you guys can look up to me. I'll make sure that everyone's taken care of. We can pray and stuff. And everyone was like, this guy, he makes it 2 days into the shark attack, goes to sick call. And I kid you not, he sick called the entire basic training, and he would break his profile to do the individual events that you had to do to pass. He called his recruiter at home and figured out how to system basic training. And they wanted to fail him so bad. Like, he almost got out of the 12-mile ruck, and he's like, I want to break I need to do the 12-mile ruck. So they made him do it around the track. He did a 12-mile ruck around the track. Just
points for ingenuity.
Yeah, but he still passed somehow. And I will say that the only cherry on top was at Stairway to Heaven. Right, we go to get the cross rifle ceremonies, and he wanted to get out of the truck to get his cross rifles, and they told him to fuck off. And that was the icing on the cake. And there was a couple more with them that kind of did this too. Oh my gosh.
I completely forgot about the Stairway to Heaven until you just mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
So wild.
And we're all punching each other's chests. Yeah. Blood rifles, like all this, you know what I mean?
They got rid of that, didn't
crazy.
they?
I mean, you're not allowed to do it anymore, dude. You're not allowed to punch someone when they get promoted. Like, I always kind of go up and do the fake.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations. Dude, I got my chest freaking caved in, dude. I'm
Caved in.
sure, like, when I got promoted to specialist, dude, like, oh my God, dude. Like,
Dude, when I got, I think it was corporal, something like that. Dude, I got a pink belly that lasted like 15 minutes of
oh,
these dudes
man.
just, it was all bloody. They did the Germex on top of it after it was all
Yep.
cut open.
I was
It
gonna
was
ask.
brutal.
I was gonna ask if you got hand sanied.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Uh,
I remember
Man.
being in country. I was terrified to go to sleep half the time if it was even close to like my birthday or a
oh,
holiday.
dude, yeah.
You wake up being held down and just someone wailing on you.
Bro, we got hazed, man. We got hazed. I remember getting smoked in the wintertime in the top floor of our barracks, and they had us doing inchworms. They had us do we had to put our waffle suits on, our waffle top and bottom. Then we had to put camelbacks on, and then we had to
Yep.
put our winter sleep systems over our heads. And inchworm on the top floor, dude, just sweating. And they're like, it's not hazing, because they bring the medic with his aid bag ready with IVs if we pass
Yeah.
out. They're like, I could kill you, but the medic will bring you back, so you got no hope. I'm like, dude, like, and you're sitting there getting the dog shit smoked out of you because, like, 2 doors down, some dude in your platoon didn't take out the trash or something like weird.
Yep. Dude, you were freaking shredded though back in the day.
Oh man, I'm fat now,
It
bro.
was
Like
it was pure insanity. This dude,
Yeah.
forget about smoking Phillips. This dude could do push-ups for hours.
Can't smoke a rock, dude.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts.
Yeah, man, I'm all broken now, dude. Like, I'm a small, remember I was tiny, bro. Like, so that's how I messed up my back, is just all that, like, infantry ground pound. We didn't have proper, like, strength and conditioning programs to,
No,
like,
for sure not.
injury prevention and stuff like that. So, like, dude, I'm 5'6". I weighed $135 for the first half of my career. Now I'm
Yeah.
5'6", 200 pounds. Like, I put on a lot of muscle, but my lower back, since I can't run anymore. I do the rower on the ACFT. I don't do the sprint drag carry. I just
See, we've talked about the problems with that too, how it's one size fits all. You take a 135-pound dude and a 200-pound dude, and you're expecting the same results out of
Yep.
them. It's just not. It's not built correctly. I remember what's even worse is I was 5'11", and I was 127 pounds when I joined. I was a stick. And they used to be like, all right, go deadlift 350 pounds. I'm like, dude, I'm like dying over there.
Dude,
they're kicking me over, making fun of me for being tiny.
We were little. Well, that's you. We were airborne kids, man. Like, we were little bird bodies. Like,
Yeah, that's all we did is run.
yeah.
That's what I was telling Gillum, is I would run and drink all day, every day. And then they'd expect me to like bench press 300 pounds. I'm like, bro,
No.
they're like, you'll just die under there then. I'm like, well, then I'm going to die. I can't do it. Like $130.
Yep.
No, it definitely needs some revamping. And as I was getting out, it had gotten better,
They've been trying to revamp it. They came out with like, hey, we got this scientific evidence on how to improve different people's PTs, but no one ever did it because all the old school NCOs were like, no, we're going to run 5 miles.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do whatever's in that book.
Yeah. Well, the new Army Combat Fitness Test, I actually like it a lot. It's easy to pass. It's hard to max. So your actual studs are the ones getting the high scores. But it's a cakewalk for a test. Like,
that's what's up.
It does test your overall fitness, right? So your first event is a three rep medial deadlift with a hex bar. And then your second event is a medicine ball throw, a 10-pound medicine ball throw, like behind your head, right? They want to test your explosive. Yeah, you got to chuck it over your head. And then they measure
fly so many feet.
Yep, they measure the distance, and that's how they get your score.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then after that, you do a hand release push up. So the push up's not. So you push up, come down. and then you spread your arms out with your chest on the ground. You come back and then push back up.
Huh.
So it no longer, you're not getting screwed when it comes to, oh, you didn't break the plane or what. It's no, like, no one voids that. So like, you're laying on the ground, you extend your arms, you come back, and you push back up. That's the arm extension.
Are you still timed on them though?
You still get 2 minutes, but the minimum is 10.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
Wait,
the
10?
60% is 10.
That's not bad. What's the max?
It's like 60.
Oh, so it's still up there. You have to be moving though if you're doing that.
Yeah, if you're doing that and coming back down, you have to be pretty quick.
So Jones is saying, like, dude, I used to, like, I was tiny and I had like short arms, dude. So like, I crank out 82 push-ups on a PT test, like no problem. Today, still to this day, I can crank out like 75, like no problem.
Yeah.
But when it comes to hand release, bro, I'm huffing and puffing at 30.
Yeah, I mean, it seems legitimate.
Slowly exaggerating. I'm like, fuck. Like, so then after the hand release push up, you do a sprint drag carry. So you sprint 25 meters down and back. Then you drag a 90-pound sled so it's a cloth sled with handles on it. Two 45-pound weights like strapped to it. And you drag that backwards the whole way down and the whole way back.
Huh.
After you drag, then you do a lateral, right? You're like lateral, like sidestepping down and back. After the lateral, you pick up two 40-pound kettlebells and you farmers carry the kettlebells 25 meters down and back. And then after that, you do another sprint, and that's timed.
I know some dudes that would have loved that.
Yeah.
Bro.
Did they just put CrossFit in the PT test?
Yeah.
Pretty much, dude. It is. I don't do it because of my profile. It messes me up, dude. But guys are flying on that thing. Like I've been the NCOIC for like 3 or 4 PT tests in the last month. Just kind of pushing my whole company through because you're supposed to take a PT test twice a year. And it takes 90 minutes to administer this test.
Oh, I bet.
So, yeah. So, I think for me, it's like my failing for my age group as a male, 2 minutes and 36 seconds is 60. And then like a minute and 40 seconds is max or something like that. Dudes are smoking this thing. So there's more events.
Dude, it's so nuts to hear that you're at NCOIC.
Mm-hmm. Dude, after the sprint drag carry is a 3 minute, or it's a plank. So I think it's like 3 minutes and 20 seconds is max for your plank. A minute and 10 seconds is the minimum.
That's not bad.
And then after the plank, you go do a 2-mile run.
Jeez. So
it sounds like I could pass this.
Yeah,
you could definitely pass it for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like though I kind of like a lot of it though because it sounds like there's some translatable exercises. Like you're dragging a soldier. They're trying to see if you can do certain physical things that a soldier actually needs to do instead of just can you slam your body up in sit-ups 200 times and push down. Yeah. So
yeah. The only thing
kind of more common sense oriented.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of takes away from some of it, is you have to logistically prepare for it, right? So we have to order all the proper equipment. The proper equipment has to come in. You have to validate your graders and make sure they're grading properly. You have to allow for 90 minutes to do this thing. So here at Fort Cavazos, like there's only a couple run routes that are closed down for PT hours. So you have to make sure like we can't, if we're running 2 lanes, 4 people per lane, and you're going to book by the standard, giving them 10 minutes of rest after each event and stuff like that. We have to start the test at 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Just so that they can finish the run before the roads open back up and it's full of traffic. Jeez. So, which I mean, I don't have to worry about that because my alternate event for the run, as I do the rower, So I have to do a 5K row in under 33 minutes. Which
That's not that bad.
Dude, it still sucks.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But the thing that sucks about that alternate event is like there's no grading scale still. So you can do your alternate event and you could smash the alternate event, but you're still only getting 60 points.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because what they also did, which is also like really cool, is if you score a 540 on your PT test, you no longer have to do height and weight.
Oh, nice.
Well, that makes sense because there were some dudes that would like max out every category, but they wouldn't make height and weight, but they were just super jacked.
Exactly.
Yeah, that happened all the time.
Yeah.
Did they revamp the qualification with rifles too? Because I've heard different things.
Yep, they did. They redid the rifle qual. So you're no longer just shooting prone supported, prone unsupported, and then kneeling. Now, which I do PMI for my unit. I'm the only ex-infantryman, so they're gonna put me in charge of the ranges. So what you do is still 40 shots, right? You're still 10-round magazines, but you get 4 magazines, okay? Your very first shot is standing, unsupported, 50-meter target. Just pop, and then you drop down to prone, unsupported. You shoot 9 rounds prone, unsupported, and then you do a magazine change. You go to prone, supported.
Okay.
And they're not supposed to announce the magazine change. You're supposed to just do it. Then you shoot 10 rounds prone supported. And then from there, you transition to a barrier that has like a window cut out and it's tiered. Then you go to kneeling supported. So you can lean into this barrier. You can do your C grip. You can do whatever. So you're doing your kneeling. And then after kneeling, you do another magazine change. And then you're doing standing supported. So overall, like I think it's great.
It sounds pretty cool.
It's fun. And it's, people struggle. Granted, they struggle, but there's things that you learn over time that they don't teach you in the book that help you utilize some of these things like the barrier and stuff like that. Like, hey, post your foot back, lean into it, like stabilize your weapon system. You still have to maintain your proper trigger squeeze and all that stuff, but it's teachable, right?
Dude.
Yeah.
And then
plus it's very relatable.
Yeah.
It seems to relate it seems like they're actually implementing common sense. I can't believe I'm saying this to some things like this shooting.
Yeah.
It's teaching you muscle memory to do certain things that they want you to do in combat, and you're also qualifying at the same time. It kind of makes sense, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Can't believe I just said that. The Army did something with common sense, huh?
Well, I mean, for a while, like we weren't shooting, right? Like we just didn't have a budget to shoot. And they were wondering why people were so trash at like shooting their weapon. It's like, well, like you only send me to the range once a year as an infantryman.
Yeah.
That's dumb. They should be sending infantrymen to the range like once a month.
Oh, for
sure. Even if it's just 40 rounds each.
Yep. Yep.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I hate to cut this short, but I've got people coming to the house in a minute, so I'm going to have to skedaddle if y'all are ready.
You're good, man.
Dude, it was... Y'all can cut that little part. I was just going to say, dude, it was fantastic to talk to you again. And we're going to have you back on here. We'll talk about some of the savagery back in the day.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, Philip, it was great to meet you. It was cool to hear kind of about the new changes in the Army and some of your story. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. This is awesome.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. Nice to meet you as well. It's a good time. I used to actually do a podcast myself during the COVID years. I started a gaming organization for esports. So
Really?
We had competitive Call of Duty teams. We had competitive Halo. We had competitive Apex. Our name was Coalition Esports and Entertainment. It was full on like LLC, trademarked, all that stuff. And then, my business partner and I kind of parted ways. Like he started working for the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey organization, and I reclassed, so it kind of went by the wayside. But I got really involved with coaching Call of Duty, like professional esports, things like that.
Dude, that's awesome.
Dude, it's fun.
Because like, what were you gonna do during COVID, right? Like, so, but we did a podcast. We called it the Boomcast, and what we did was me and my buddy. It was like a late night, like kind of like Saturday Night Live vibe, like just come in, you've already had a couple beers or whatever. We just shoot the shit with like professionals from around the industry, whether it's like a famous streamer or a famous clothing distributor or a really successful coach or a professional Call of Duty player. And we would just shoot the shit with them and ask them like what their keys to success was, kind of pick their brain, like what their process was. And then at the same time, we ran like funny segments, dude, like, hey, like rapid fire, 1 minute, you have to like, it's this or that, right? Like, so it's like pizza or tacos, like, and they're just like kind of spitfiring down the line.
Yeah.
And then we would do like a social media thing called like Tweet Break, where we looked at through their social media, we'd pull a tweet from them and we'd ask them to kind of elaborate on the context of what they were talking about or whatever, just little things like that. It was kind of cool. So we ran segments. Like I said, we recorded it on Discord and edited on OBS. So we were able to kind of do overlays and stuff and, had like running things on the bottom. So I miss doing podcasts, dude. They're so much fun. So it really, when you asked me to, I was like, dude, like I'm going to find the time to do this because I love just shooting shit.
Dude, I would love to have you on again too. Like I said, we could even delve into that streamers thing because that's all I do in my free time is play video games. I actually have been playing Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
And I'm obsessed with it, man. It's freaking good.
I couldn't do it, dude. I can't do turn-based games, bro. Like,
oh, they're my favorite.
Yeah, I can't do turn-based.
They're my favorite.
I just downloaded Warcraft Rumble on my phone, which is pretty fun. I'm gonna start playing the new Call of Duty here soon because the professional season's gonna start next month. Counter-Strike, those things.
Video games are just sort of like a culture of the military because it's I hate to say it, but it's actually a kind of a way to keep you out of trouble and deal with boredom a little bit.
Dude, honestly, this next episode you have me on, let's just talk about gaming, bro.
Dude, I'm down.
We've got another buddy of mine we're gonna have on soon. We've been trying to work it out, but he's in the top like 0.5% for streamers on Twitch.
Okay.
And he blew up on Grand Theft Auto. He's like the top streamer for GTA.
That's sick.
Nice.
I want to have him on because he's insanely successful. He moved out to freaking Orlando, Florida, and all he does now is stream 24/7.
That's sick, dude.
But yeah, any episode on gaming, I'm down.
There's a veterans gaming organization called Regiment GG. Dude, they're some good people. I tried to work with them here and there, but my schedule couldn't do it. But
I'm gonna have to look into that.
You have to check them out, dude. If you got Twitter, I mean, gaming lives on Twitter. So,
see, I don't remember if me and you gamed back in the day.
Did we play COD?
I know I was playing Halo huge back then when we were in Italy. So anytime I got back to the barracks, I was playing Halo 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it was 2, and then 3 came out.
Yeah, I can't remember if we were playing Call of Duty together.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, most nights we just listened to rap and drank, go out partying.
Go out to the custom pub.
Dude, that place was so nuts.
All those strip clubs, dude.
It was insanity. My wife, I didn't even know my wife at the time. She's still mad at how much money I spent back then.
It's insane, dude. It's insane.
I spent a fortune.
Oh man,
I was that guy.
Yeah.
It's time to pop smoke.
You guys have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Later.
Take it easy.